to LMR Live, episode number 38. That is just cuckoo bananas. But welcome. We hope you are ready for a fun evening, an interview filled with what? Filled with what? Edutainment. Thank you. Filled with edutainment. This episode is in partnership with the Department of Music's Opera Theater program. This semester, I've had the distinct pleasure of co-teaching opera with Professor Amanda Johnston, where she is the music director, and I'm serving as the stage director for an upcoming production of State of Grace by Linda Lister. We are committed to doing works by living composers, and this project has just been, I'm going to say, phenomenal. That's what it has been. And we are actually the premier location for Linda Lister's chamber version of this opera. If you're in Oxford, in the vicinity, come to Net Auditorium this weekend, Saturday night, 7:30 p.m., or Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. to experience Linda's music, to experience the University of Mississippi undergraduate and graduate students, and even an Oxford High student who is in this production. And most importantly, Linda, yes, Linda Lister is here with us for a residency. But wait, who is Linda Lister? Linda has written chamber operas, as I've mentioned, State of Grace, also How Clear She Shines from 2002, and a new piece called Body of Art, just from 2022. She is an author. She has written So You Want to Sing Light Opera, and co-author of Red Rock Mantras, Voice Secrets, 100 Performance Strategies for the Advanced Singer, and So You Want to Sing Music by Women. Who doesn't want to do that? She also wrote the chapter on yoga for singers in So You Want to Sing with Awareness. Lister's solo credits as a soprano include performances with Washington Symphony Orchestra, Buffalo Philharmonic, and the Las Vegas Philharmonic, just to name a few. She is a graduate from where? Vassar College, MM from Eastman School of Music, and a DMA in voice from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. A certified core power yoga teacher, Dr. Lister is the director of opera theater and professor of music at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Let's widen that lens and let's put our hands together for Linda Lister. So we have a lot going on here, right? We have a lot going on. We have a soprano, we have an author, we have a composer, we have an educator, and just a wonderful human.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Well, welcome to Oxford. Are we excited she's here? You know, before we started this interview, I confessed to Linda that I feel like I know her better than I actually do. And I know we say that a lot by today's standards because of the Facebook and social media, but it's even broader than that because there are so many folks that we know professionally in common, like Amanda Johnson and various folks. But then also there's this level of feeling like one knows you because of your works, because of your compositions. I mean, the folks who are here who are in her opera, don't you feel like you know her already? I hope that's not too presumptuous. All right. So it's an honor to have you here, and welcome. So first question, I name all those things. What do you consider yourself first and foremost, not necessarily as this human, but as the artist? What sort of starts for you? Do you draw one direction more than another?
I mean, it all comes from voice for me, I think. Be it my voice, my singing voice, the voice of my writing, or be it books or music. Yeah, it's just the urge to communicate, the urge to be heard. And you feel very vulnerable when you put that out there, and I feel like, oh, these people know me. I just met them. But I do feel like, I hope you know me because I'm trying to reach people and, to impact their lives. So
absolutely.
I hope I am.
Absolutely. So when did you start singing? What was the beginning for little Linda Lister?
Well, it started in youth theater, children's theater. My parents wanted a day off, so like on Saturdays they dropped you off at this place where you would do, tiny little children's theater shows on all Saturday morning. I just fell in love with theater, wanted to be Annie. Luckily that didn't work out. But yeah, it just led to wanting to be in theater and then wanting to do dance and then discovering my voice, and then discovering piano and composing, and it just all kind of, just like a lot of people, you find you like certain things, and then you can bring some of them together to enhance what you can do musically and theatrically and artistically.
That's wonderful. What was your first composition? What's the first thing you ever wrote?
It was a very serious piano piece called Melancholy Musette when I was like 12 or something.
It sounds alluring.
I don't remember anything except it had drones, A minor drones in it. But anyway, I'm sure I based it off of whatever little piano piece I was supposed to practice that week. But then I was in a different children's theater, youth theater. I graduated. I was in middle school, I guess. And there was this really creative director who would just tell young people, why don't you do this? Like he said to me, why don't you choreograph this show? I'd never choreographed anything. And I was like, okay, I can choreograph Charlotte's Web. I read the book. And then the next year, why don't you write a musical? And I was like, okay. I mean, things like there's no filter. You're like, okay, I can do that.
Totally, but I think that's something that we miss sometimes in today's world.
Absolutely.
Do you agree?
I do. I mean, because that license that he gave me, now people ask me, oh, should I do this? Right? It's just too bad. We stop ourselves. That childlike just creativity and zeal, right?
Completely.
She's like, you want to write a musical, The Little Match Girl? I'm like, okay. And I did at 15. And it was, I don't know how good it was necessarily, but it was creative.
You have to start somewhere, right?
Exactly.
And like you even said, we have to let the creativity move and propel forward. And I find nowadays so many people want to ask for that permission before even stepping forward. I don't know. So
I agree. You've got to find your voice that way. And so that's, that was how I started to say, oh, well, I can sing, and my music can sing for itself as well.
During your trajectory of writing things, do you write for yourself? Here's my question.
I mean, I do now. Those were, things like that, projects where someone said, here's a story we want you to adapt. Definitely for me, it's partly catharsis or things I'm working on. If I'm not in therapy, I'm writing music, I guess, right? Working through issues or things that I want people to think about. So, yeah, it's very personal for me now because I'm not a composition professor. I don't have to do this to, get tenure or to prove my worth. It's something I do. I'm, mainly a singer and a voice teacher and an opera director. But the composing was just that outlet for me that's kind of grown into something bigger.
I love that you shared that and in that way, because even tying back to this idea of permission, I think at all levels, whether as an undergraduate or whether you're that professor trying to get tenure and promotion, there are things you have to do.
Sure.
And then finding that balance of, okay, how do I find that thing that makes me tick and spark in addition to checking off the boxes?
Right.
So do you find that the compositions you write inspire you as that solo singer or have created opportunity in ways?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the composing is some of what got me maybe one of my first big jobs, because it was something unique that I had. Again, another skill set or something that intrigued somebody, or they wondered, why is she doing that? Maybe who knows what they were thinking, but
does it matter?
Exactly. No, and it made me more passionate about what I was doing.
Yeah.
So.
What was the moment that you decided, I want music to be my career?
Well, when I went to Vassar, I went there because I wanted to be Meryl Streep, and she went there, right? And that was I'm going to be the next Meryl Streep, right? Well, then I got there and I realized that maybe that wasn't, I love theater, but maybe I just didn't want to do, I wanted to sing. I didn't want to do straight plays. I wanted to do musicals, and then as I got to know opera more. So that was kind of when I figured, yeah, maybe that's more of, although Meryl Streep can sing, as we all know, and sing very well. And she can sing badly when she wants to for that part, that Florence Foster Jenkins show, right? But yeah, that's when I figured out. People said, this is, and I even remember that director who asked me to write that musical when I was 12 or whatever, 15. He said to me, at that time, you said, you have many talents, but the ones that you're most untrained in are the ones that we think are maybe your best talents. And because I hadn't really, that's young for a singer, right?
Totally.
And I always stuck with me, and he was kind of right.
So you go to Vassar, and when you entered wanting to be Meryl.
Yeah.
So when you finished there, what was sort of that next step for you? We have so many students thinking of, who are coming up on graduation.
Right.
What's that next step? Can you think back to what that process was
I can.
like for you?
Because, I'd gone to a liberal arts college, loved the experience, but it was very, I took astronomy, I took foreign languages. It was very, very broad in its base. I took poetry class, but then I thought, I actually never had a diction class. I've got to get serious about some of these things people learn in conservatories. I've got to learn diction, I've got to do this. And so I went to a conservatory for that reason. And went to Eastman, loved that, except the weather. And then all the people there I met was a whole caliber of different level of singers. And I look back now, many of them are singers. Tony Griffey sings at the Met, a very famous Peter Grimes. One of the others is now the opera director at Eastman. It's just like all those people have now see how their careers have gone. But we were just, kids in the coffee house talking music, 30 years ago, and now
That's
here
great.
we are.
That's great. What led you to come into academia?
I've always felt home in academia. I mean, I was the kid in high school, like looking at the college catalogs and fantasizing about what courses I would take. Back when you held a course catalog in your hand.
I remember those days. Yes, I miss those days, actually.
I would collect them and plan like my whole 4-year at this school and this school and this school. That's kind of geeky, but yeah, that was something I always knew I wanted. My parents both have PhDs, so I knew that would be part of my life. But it just, I love to perform, and I did perform after, several of my degrees. But I always was drawn back to academia and wanting, some of the freedom that it gives, where you can do, certain things. Of course, you could do these things professionally too, but then you got to find someone else to pay for it and sponsor it.
Yeah.
It's a much, and I'm not a business person, so it's like academia. I know the people who would appreciate what I do in that realm.
Interesting. So I want to talk a little bit about State of Grace.
Sure, yay.
So as I mentioned, we are doing this one-act opera here, and it deals with yoga, and it deals with cancer. Will you give the background to this production a little bit, to this opera?
Sure. I mean, they might seem like strange things to pair, right? Because, yoga is very serious, cancer is very serious, but in a different way. Yeah, so I'd been doing yoga for many years, something I wanted to write an opera about yoga. It's an interesting soundscape. It's different, the sort of Eastern influences and the bells and the singing bowls and all this. I was kind of fascinated. How can I make this into an opera? And I had kind of a plan for that. But then some other things happened in my life, and I had to deal with a cancer diagnosis. And it just totally threw my perspective on everything out of whack. Because I thought, well, yoga is supposed to help you deal with stress and how to deal with these kinds of things. And I suddenly couldn't meditate. I couldn't figure out how to deal with the dissonance and, just a normal human reaction. Right. It was like the fight or flight response, which is what yoga is supposed to help you with. And I'm like, why isn't this working anymore when I need it the most, right? And then I thought, oh, well, how can I get through this? And then I took a class after I was, had gone through my treatment and was cancer-free. I took a class called Yoga for Survivors, taught by this amazing woman, Susan Hilberger, who is a brain cancer survivor and the most serious kind of cancer that you could get, brain cancer. And she was pregnant at the time too, and I'm like, wow, and her body is coming back and she's giving life. And this class was about reclaiming your body and just saying, I am alive, and this is how I'm going to move forward. It just was so revelatory to me, and I thought, well, how could this be part of an opera? And then I also thought, that's all really heavy stuff. So we can't have an opera about that. People will just cry and want to go home and bury themselves into their pillows. So I thought, well, yoga, I also know, besides being very serious, is really silly sometimes. Like the people who take it too seriously are sometimes really funny. So I thought, well, we've got to laugh about it. Like the people I've met in yoga class, they're really interesting.
They can be caricatures
They're characters
of individuals. Yes.
Yeah. So I thought, okay, so if I bring that in, a little comic relief, right? To balance it out, but just to show these, it's just people trying to live life and deal with the stress and all the things that we're all going to face, and somehow get through it all together. And so then that somehow birthed a one-act opera called State of Grace.
Very cool. Earlier you said your writing and your work is your therapy. Did you find writing State of Grace to have a therapeutic effect to yourself?
I think it did. I was on sabbatical when I was writing it, so that also helped. I was kind of in like this little creative bubble. And yeah, it was about 3 years after I had gone through my diagnosis and treatment. So it was long enough to where I could, if it was too close, you're still kind of trying to figure out and process it. I'd gone through a certain amount of the processing, and I thought, well, I'm ready to put it out there. And I wrote there, and there are my cats listening to me compose it. And they liked it,
so we knew a home run, we got it.
But yeah, it's like, you've got to test the waters. And then I was lucky to be able to workshop a scene of it at the Druid City Opera Workshop in Alabama. Because this is what composers do. We want to get feedback. We want to figure out, is this working? Or should we do this? Do people want to sing this? And they did. And I thought, well, we'll keep going. And
I think that's something audience members forget about. I recently had a class attend a play, and it was just the workshop of a play. And they were very, very just so critical of it and not realizing it's part of the trajectory of like steps. It isn't just like suddenly one day someone wakes up, creates this perfect piece of art, and then we're done, right? It's part of the process.
Absolutely.
I have to admit, it's a little nerve-wracking thinking that Linda is going to see our production because you are a stage director. In addition to being the person who wrote it, you're also a stage director. Hope she likes it. So, not to put you on the spot, but as a composer and a stage director, how open-minded do you go into? Seriously, how open-minded do you go into that when you're looking at what someone has done with your baby? I mean, I can only imagine. I am not a composer, but that it feels like it's your child that you're sharing. How open are you?
No, just
might be the longest residency ever. No.
No, I mean, I think people, again, I don't speak for all creative artists or composers, but people don't know that we're just thrilled people are doing our music and producing it. And I would love to have someone else's interpretation of what I do, because mine is kind of narrow, because I can only see it one way,
right.
The way it came out, I suppose. And of course, people give feedback and, you want to change things and polish it, but I want someone else's vision to take it to a greater place, hopefully, and make me say, oh, wow, I didn't even think about that. That's what we want.
I love so much about directing.
Yes.
Is what each individual brings to the table. Because you have that idea of, okay, we're going to do this in this scene, and then they might, the way they move their arm or the way they inflect something, it's something like, scrap this, let's do that. Yeah, it's exciting to build together. And
especially since this piece, some of the characters are based on parts of myself, I also feel like I go and experience my own memory of it. So that's why I need someone who doesn't have that baggage. So then it'll be totally different, and maybe again it will be therapeutic for me in a weird way. See that?
Interesting, very interesting. Actually, when we were working it, we initially started just with the text, just really treat Meryl Streep style.
There you go.
Just the text, and just to really connect in that way, and then adding on from there. But it's such an enjoyable work, and I think we're finding a lot of those light moments within it. Right? It does have heavy content.
Yes,
it does. But it also, there is humor. And what are some other key words some of the cast would say comes out from it?
It's touching.
Touching.
Yeah. Very emotional. There's a big bond that happens in the show.
I agree with that bond. Today we worked on curtain call and no individual bows, just group bow, because it's such a sense of community. And for our production too, decided not to charge, that it really is this gift to give to the community and engage in that way.
And that's very yogic, because yoga can be a personal thing you do on your own, but there's a different spirit when you do it with other people. I can't really describe it. Maybe it's like when you sing in a choir, there's a bond that forms there too.
So if there was one thing, and you don't seem like you're a prescriptive person with how people react or what they do, but if there were one thing you wanted someone to take away from this show, whether it's a feeling or a thought, what would it be? for you?
Oh, goodness. I mean, I don't want to sound grim, but I mean, the fact is, cancer is going to affect your life in some way. Maybe not your life specifically, but someone you love at some point. That's just the reality of science right now, right? Luckily, treatments are getting so much better, so it does not mean, that your life will end necessarily.
Right.
But we all need to be able to talk about it, because that was one of the scariest things for me. It's like, people don't talk, it's cancer, don't talk about it,
Right.
And that makes it more terrifying, because then you can't talk about how you're feeling. So I want people to be able to talk about how it makes them feel, even if they feel terrible. And if they think something's absurd about it and it's funny, however, any reaction is okay, as long as it's an authentic one. And just let it experience. Like, it's okay to, which is why I didn't think. I thought, yoga, I'm supposed to be perfectly, all my chakras are aligned, and I've done this for 15 years. And then I was a mess, and I was like, I'm a bad yogi, I'm a bad patient. No, you're human. We're all human.
Totally. I'm sure all of us have those moments in any given day. I'm a bad this, I'm a bad that. And that moment of just pause, just in the moment.
Just breathe.
Totally. All right, I have a question from Miranda. She wants to know, how do you personally define your compositional style, and do you consider yourself to be part of a larger movement?
Wow, that's a great question. I mean, I guess I would say something on the lines of neo-romantic, or, I mean, I think my music is mostly lyrical, mostly, hopefully singable. I mean, sometimes a wide range, so not easy to sing for everybody. But for this piece in particular, is maybe a little different because of the yoga influence. Because yoga music is kind of specific, and it's sort of a repetitious mantra, like, comforting, ritualistic sound, right? Which is not what I had done before. And as I've, composed different things, we all have our signature, I guess, people would tell us. But that was something different.
Do you know your signature? Do you think, do you think people are able to? Where am I going with this? Sometimes the way people see us is so different than how we see ourselves.
Yeah, I don't know. No one's really mentioned it to me. Because again, I'm not being analyzed for my tenure portfolio or whatever, for my composition. But I mean, in some of my works, I do quote a lot of other famous pieces, like in my latest piece, Body of Art. I didn't do that in State of Grace. That was something different. So that was, I mean, I like to show, homage to the canon, as it were. So this didn't. So maybe that was different. But I don't know what my signature style is necessarily.
Maybe you don't have to have one. It's ever evolving.
Exactly.
So along these lines, Alexis wants to know, are you interested in participating in feminist activism through the work? Do you think it's an effective form of activism to be identified as a female composer? Or would you rather just be known as a composer without being categorized by your gender?
Those are great questions. I mean, well, it would be great to just have, I mean, and I do have labels. I mean, the lovely thing, poster you made for me says composer. It doesn't say female composer, does it? No. So I appreciate that. But I don't mind the label, because I'm hopefully helping other women, other underrepresented composers, artists, stage directors, because again, there are more male stage directors than female stage directors in professional companies, if you've seen those statistics as well.
Yeah.
So, I'm happy, and have been, tried to be anyway, a champion for other female artists in all these areas, and mentoring my, students and colleagues when I can. And the book that Matthew Hoke and I wrote, that was our main mission, to advocate for other female composers. So yes, and I definitely consider myself a feminist. Meryl would back me up on that one, and my vaster friends. But I write a lot of pieces for women, partially because as an opera director, I always have wonderful, talented female singers, and we have men too, but they're usually more women. And I want to make sure they get opportunities to be heard.
Absolutely.
And so I guess, again, my voice speaks through them, hopefully speaks through the male characters as well.
Do you find your fellow female composers and stage directors to be a supportive community?
Yes. Oh, definitely. Yes,
Okay.
I would. I say that without question. And some of my colleagues, we even did like a joint presentation, 3 of us, about that, just to say, look, this is not so unusual at our school. We're all doing it, right? And that's the thing. Then if you do it, people see it and they think, I can do that. And then one of my students just decided to write an opera herself after seeing that, and it's going to be workshopped at Opera Las Vegas this fall. And I
That's
thought,
great.
wow.
What was that gentleman's name who told you to just go write something?
Yeah.
You're having the ripple effect. You're passing it
Exactly.
down. So let's talk about your latest work, Body of Art.
Yes.
Another one-act opera, correct?
Yes. Shorter, but yes.
Okay. And this one, was it written to be done on film, or was it originally written to be staged? Just sort of, will you share with us sort of the background of that?
Yes, we've all gone through this experience the past couple years,
What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
Right, COVID,
Yes.
right? Yes.
Indeed.
Let's not talk about that. But anyway, so our views on opera changed and what we could do, right? My university last year, we did a film production of a very small, project like a lot of us, that's what we had to do. That's kind of where I started to get the idea, because this became like a new trend, right? Opera on film, and I think it might stick around, actually. So I pictured this, worst case scenario, we're in the same or worse conditions. What can I do next year, kind of thing. Plus, I'd been ruminating on these ideas of sizeism in singers. This idea of high art and low weight. And it all started, I was watching, this sounds bizarre, but I was watching like a 4th of July concert or something. Demi Lovato was singing. She's such a really good belter, right? And she was singing, and I was on Twitter, does everyone think she's great? Everyone was picking apart her body. They were criticizing her, and I was like, what? She's an amazing singer. Why are you talking about what she, I won't say what they were saying, but, and I've heard of other stories. I'm sure you've heard, I don't want to name the company or the singer, but there was a famous operatic soprano, greatly revered, who was fired from a production because she didn't fit the dress. And I'm like, why don't you just get a different dress? You have a costume department. But anyway, and I started to think, this sizeism, people are being judged, performers, this is our body, this is our instrument, but this is our instrument. Why are they judging everything in that way? Which, not just women, men and women, but a lot of the cases were women. So I thought, well, I want to write something about that. And just my experience, I guess I write about all the diseases I deal with. So I struggled with anorexia when I was in college. So, then when I was a professor, I saw students struggling. I wanted to help them and say, no, you're beautiful. Why don't.
And here you are again, taking a topic, topics that oftentimes people don't want to discuss.
Exactly.
And you're putting it in a production, which then is making it accessible and normalized for people
I hope so.
I think so. I mean, I think that's one of the greatest things our art can serve, this ability to get people to actually think and engage on topics. And I appreciate you sharing so much of what takes you to that point. Is it all right if we show a little clip of Body
great.
of Art?
Absolutely.
So we have a clip. This was filmed
We filmed it in December, and we just premiered it a couple weeks ago.
like April 7th or something?
Yeah.
So this is fresh, hot off the press. So buckle up and get ready. Here we go.
Admitted she hadn't taken anything that day and had taken some dying pills. They think it caused a heart irregularity, and that's why she fainted. I wish I had known what she was dealing with. I was anorexic in college. I know the struggle. It's so difficult just to admit you have an eating disorder, let alone recover from it. How did you bear with me and see my 18-year-old friend die from cardiac arrhythmia caused by her bulimia? Wow, I'm fine now. I survived both, and I finally learned to love and appreciate my body. This is my body of art, my body of work and life and love.
How is the approach different knowing you're directing for what's going to be filmed versus what's going to be on stage?
Oh, it's very different. And I wouldn't even say I directed this for film. I would say that the editors directed it.
Because that's my next question. I was going to ask,
Yes.
I want to hear more. My next question is, though, did you direct the shots? Like knowing I want to fade in here, I want this angle.
No, I'm not a film director. That's something I want to learn more about. But I know it's, I mean, maybe it's like playing tennis and playing racquetball or ping. I mean, like they're racket sports, but they're very different, right?
Right.
So I really owe it. You know, they were students who were filming and editing for me. UNLV film students, great talent there. I mean, I told them certain things I wanted, but I'm sure it's nothing like you know, a professional film would do. But yeah, it was an interesting experiment for us, and just they talked about the singers at the screening about how it was weird to be doing opera in a small room and these people around you. But it's another part of our business now that I wanted them to experience.
100%. And I mean, I think for me, something that's great that's come out of COVID is a project like this, because pre-COVID, you know, there's all these broadcasts where you just have a camera up, but you don't have individual, it's like you're taking an art form and putting it in a different context that doesn't always work, right? But if you're suddenly casting and filming and taking it an approach that's true to that form, then I think it can be appreciaed by the masses more accessibly.
Right.
Did I just make sense? Or was
think
that an
so.
incredible run-on sentence? We'll just go with it. I mean, I think that's a wonderful opportunity. And, you know, there's also that whole stereotype of, you know, can opera singers really act? And, you know, it's on this massive stage, park and bark. And how cool to get to work on your close-up. I think this inner Meryl Streep is really trying to come out in you. I'm going to start calling you Mini Meryl or something.
Ooh, I like it.
What advice would you give? Let's start first with a young singer. What is a piece of advice you would give to a young singer, say, I don't know, embarking into college or about to graduate from college? What advice would you give?
Well, you know, work on healthy vocal technique, we always say, right? Because this, as I say in that opera, and in both operas, I guess, your body is your instrument. So you want to have a safe, healthy technique and take care of your whole body. So that it will be, you know, because you can't trade it in, you know, for a Stradivarius later, at least. Not yet. They might get there, right? Eventually.
Well, let's hope not.
But, you know, be a curious musician and a curious artist. So that was one thing I really appreciate about my liberal arts background, is that even though I was jealous, like I didn't spend all those hours doing the things that the people at conservatory did, I, you know, went to art exhibits and, like I say, took a physics of sound class and astronomy class, which, you know, maybe I didn't ace like other classes I could have, but it broadened what I thought about the world and how I looked at it. So just to be, you know, be a professional, be prepared, and do all the things you need to do, but you want to bring something more than that to your art that will make you unique.
I love that. I love that. What advice would you give to someone who has the desire to compose, but maybe doesn't think other people would label them as a composer? What would you say?
I mean, don't worry about labels. I mean, I used to say, and I still kind of do it, like, I'm not really a composer. Now I say, no, I am, but don't do that. Don't diminish if you've written something. And just it's okay to put things out there. People might not like it, and that's okay. It may speak to some person, and then inspire them to write something, right? So just don't be so hesitant. Like we said, don't Don't put yourself in categories. You can be in that category, but that doesn't mean that's the only category you can inhabit.
And, not just or.
Yes. Oh, I like that. Ooh, someone write that hashtag.
All right, an area we haven't gone deep into is the yoga yet. I mean,
Okay.
we talked about the state of grace, but to segue to that direction, we are going to play a game
Okay.
called Show Pose. To get us in the mood, we're gonna have a little intro video and then bring up some friends to help.
All right.
Show Pose. So we always have to play some type of game, and tonight we have two very brave volunteers, Chloe Celestin and Reed Hairston. Give it up for them. So, as I promised, no yoga experience or expertise is necessary to participate in this game, but what we're going to do is in this basket, there are some poses that are written down on cards. You're going to take one of the cards, and then you're going to step forward and demonstrate that pose silently, just with physical activity. And Dr. Lister is going to try to guess what the pose is. The individual who does the best show poses shall win the game. Does it sound fair? Are you in? Are you in?
I'm in. Let's do
All
it.
right. Who would like to go first?
Okay. Here we go.
All right. Pick your
All
card. All right. Okay. You got it? All right. Come on over. Give
Can she do it in heels? I'm curious to see.
I want to peek.
We'll see.
Oh gosh. Okay. Just go for it. Whatever you think it might look like.
Wait.
Sounds. Oh, I'm realizing these aren't real yoga poses.
So on the this is on here. It's written as a real
It's a
pose.
real yoga pose.
But she is doing her version
Oh,
of
okay.
it. So
Okay, that wasn't part of my
I saw
training.
a circle, and I saw maybe part of a circle.
I thought maybe you're doing a sun salutation. I was thinking it was back to Annie, and the sun will come out tomorrow for a second there.
You're
Close
close.
to sun.
You're close.
Close
You're
to
close.
sun.
Half moon?
Yes.
Okay. I get the half now. There you go.
Thank you, Reed. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Looks like fainting diva, but that's not a real asana. So.
Unfortunately.
Corpse pose, I guess.
Yes.
Okay.
Very nice. Very nice. There should be a prize for creativity. All right.
Yeah. It's just like charades, yoga charades. Can you do that again?
Share it with the camera, Reed. One time forward for us.
Mountain?
Yes!
Okay.
And like climbing the
Okay, yeah.
Climbing the
First I thought
mountain.
you were doing a jazz square, so I was overthinking it.
Oh my God. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's it? Oh, sorry. Bridge? No. That's not helping. I don't know. Must be hard. Because you're almost doing like cat and cow there, but oh.
I promise you I told them what they'd be doing when they volunteered to
Are
do
you
this.
sure? Because that's cow.
Yes!
Oh, well, that's the real pose. It's the real
she
pose.
did.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I don't know how many. Okay, all right.
I wasn't ready for the real option. I love the reactions. They're the best.
Okay.
Or back to mountain again? What? Oh, triangle! Are you guys getting this? Got it.
Oh my
Super
gosh.
awesome.
Okay. Yep.
Oh, I thought you were going to do it for a second.
No,
No?
I could.
We're back to cow.
We had cow before, and now we have.
Well, cat?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, good.
Oh my gosh. All right. Is it even right now?
Yeah, it's 3.
All right. I think we need to put a time limit. Okay. Whoever they only get 5 seconds. Okay. 5 seconds. All right. You get 5 seconds.
Okay.
I wasn't planning on laughing this hard. I'm practically crying.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, that's Warrior 2.
Bada bing! I'm impressed. You've been holding out the whole time. She knows Warrior 2. All right.
Okay.
All right. You have 5 seconds. That was very, very good. Take a guess. Take a guess. No. That was really good. I thought it was good. Granted, I'm reading the card. Camel. 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 All right.
Okay.
All right. We have 2
I
more.
didn't get
2
it.
more. Right now, this could end at a tie, or this is cracking me up.
See, this could. Okay. Some of these are.
Cheer.
Yeah. All right. All right. Finishing, having fun.
Tree.
Nice. They are brave and they are fun. You guys were awesome. So I think we finished 2-1. All right, I'm going to give you a little happy. I'm going to give you a little happy read. I'll give you 1-2 later, Chloe. So for this semester, our Opera Theater, and on the back, we have University of Mississippi. We've had our Music in Motion, and I want to give you a shirt.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being good sport. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my gosh, that was really fun. Did you have fun? Okay, cool beans.
And it wasn't serious. It was fun
It
yoga.
was fun, right? I mean,
It wasn't an hour of sitting still. Right.
So, what is your favorite pose? Do you have, like, what are your go-to poses? I know you have things that you suggest for singers backstage. Anything you want to share with us?
I mean, I think I said this when I was doing that Zoom session with your students earlier. But yeah, it changes for me. But tree pose is always good for centering and grounding. My favorite thing is to do tree pose outside. Under a tree. That sounds so silly, but then you feel the breeze and you just feel more grounded. But Bird of Paradise is really probably my favorite one. It's hard, but it keeps me working, and it's just so fun. It's just so crazy. I can't do it in this dress, but anyway. But you know, when you get into the contortionist parts of yoga, it's not to be a contortionist. It's just to get a deeper stretch. And sometimes you're like, wow, like this is amazing that I can get into this position. Sometimes, how do I get out of it? But that can be, be fun too. So
if we were pretending we were backstage, I'm going to ask you guys to join in, and we were feeling maybe nervous, is there some breathing thing or stretch or something we could do?
Absolutely. And again, you don't have to be wearing yoga pants. You could do some of these things backstage because you would have to be, if your costume might, if you're playing Susanna and Figaro, you're going to have a dress on, right? So just, opening the ribs and inhaling and connecting to your breath and doing stretches that will stretch these intercostals, these muscles in between your ribs, because as singers, right, we need to keep expansion in our rib cage, whereas we're usually sitting like this all day typing, texting, right? So big sighs. So kind of incorporate this.
Try this at home.
Yes. And if you sit at a desk all day, this is great too, right? And then add some vocalization to it. Because in yoga, they talk about vinyasa, which is breath-based movement, which is basically what we're doing now. We're connecting breath and movement so that you can start doing big sighs with it, right? Let me hear you guys do one. Right. And then trying to get taller, maybe stretching. If you're a pianist, you might like this one too. Just trying to inhabit the space with your wonderful instrument that is your whole body. Right? This is my body. And then also, if you're feeling nervous, twists are good. So I'm trying to figure out how to do this in this dress. But yes.
It's a very good sport.
There we go. So if this is your right knee, you'd have your left hand here and just give me some gentle twists, nothing too crazy. And don't do these if you're with child, but good to kind of calm the nervous system. And there are all kinds of great stretches you could do lying on your back. Lots of people love that lying spinal twist. Just trying to, it's like take the spine, rinse it out, and get it all reset. But one of the best things to have backstage for myself is to have a mantra, like a positive affirmation, right? Something that you can come back to. No one else needs to know it, but it's something that you can just take comfort in, like your little power anthem. You can cycle through your head when you hear, oh, you're going to crack, you're going to mess up, you're going to forget the 6th verse of that Schubert song, whatever you're worried about, right?
Well, thank you for taking us through that.
Sure.
Don't you feel good? I feel like I need to do the other side, though, now.
Definitely, yeah, I should do the other side.
Let's do the other side, guys.
You have
That's
it.
all right. I need to do the other side. I want to be balanced. Are you doing it? Oh, you did?
They did.
Oh, I'm a day late and $1 short. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump there. I didn't mean to jump. Hi. So what's next for you? I mean, what are we going? We're going to wake up tomorrow and also find out Linda Lister does skydiving, or
No,
Linda Lister does architecture, or no.
No, I don't think so. I didn't pick up new hobbies during the pandemic, so I stuck with the ones I have. But I do have a new project. Guess what? I got another commission.
Yay!
I'm going to write some songs. My friend at Missouri State University, sorry, I almost got the wrong one there, a text by first ladies, former first ladies,
Cool.
that she's commissioned and that she's going to perform at the museum and library of the first ladies. So been digging through, trying to learn about all these women that a lot of them, of course, we know certain ones. We know, like Jackie Kennedy, who doesn't know that, right? Or, Rosalind Carter or somebody, but people I don't know, like Louisa Adams and Woodrow Wilson had 2 wives. One died while he was in office. So anyway, so I'm learning that history. So it's kind of fun for me and to see how they viewed. I think we're going to call it something like the East Wing. So how was life for them, in American history? So yeah.
When are you aiming for that to be?
I'm writing it this summer because again, it's a commission. So now I'm doing it. Someone asked me to do it. I have to commit.
You have a deadline.
I have a deadline. Yeah, and I think it's supposed to premiere in the spring of next year.
That's amazing. Yeah. That sounds great. Very exciting. Just in closing this up and wrapping us up together, when you look back at your younger self, what's a piece of advice that you would give to yourself?
Oh, don't worry so much, and don't feel like you have to be what you think you have to be. Because like I said, I thought, oh, I was going to be Meryl Streep, and then if I didn't, I was a failure or something, or whatever it was the next week, I guess, when I realized that wasn't going to work out. That's okay. That's part of life as a creative process, you know. And I remember my 20s, like, just, so hard, because it's like, what am I going to do with my life? How is this going to work, right? But it will work out. Just find a path, follow it, and you can change the path. It's okay to change the path. It's going to take several paths. But just keep moving forward and keep being creative and trying to enjoy it along the way. Even when it gets a little challenging, you can work through it with a little yoga and meditation.
There we go. There we go. Well, I want to thank some folks for making this possible. I want to thank our LMR supporters and partners, our loyal viewers via the web, the College of Liberal Arts, and the Department of Music. I want to thank our giving society called the Secret Salon Society. If you'd be interested in joining, just shoot me a line. I want to thank the people who make up LMR. I want to thank Brady Bramlett, our Executive Managing Director, Graduate Assistant Miranda Shapiro, Undergraduate Assistants Alexis Rose and Emma Johnson. And I also want to thank Jordan Presley, our Departmental Multimedia Specialist. Oxford folks, if you're in the vicinity this weekend, I want to highly, highly recommend you venture to Nut Auditorium and check out State of Grace by Linda Lister, being performed by University of Mississippi students and an Oxford High student. And I promise you, you will have what do I want to say the experience will be? You will have an experience of connectivity, of thoughtfulness, reflection, and hope, is what I would say. And it is free and open to the public. Also, if you're in Oxford, be on the lookout. You might encounter some people who call themselves Music in Motion. Do not be alarmed. They are very much interested in sharing their music with you with a little yoga motion movement spin. They are taking over Oxford, 2 performances so far, more to come. And we're going to be back with our viewers in about a week with another LMR Live, so be on the lookout. But as I always say, oh no, I didn't thank the most important person. I want to say thank you to Linda Lister. Oh my gosh! So put our hands together and thank Linda Lister. I got so caught up in what's happening. Seriously, thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing us to put life, a different kind of life into your work. We are sharing it openly, and we look forward to all the things you're going to be doing here with us this week, a master class, attending rehearsals, being here for the shows. It's going to be fun. This is just the kickoff. And as I was about to say, thank you for being with us for some edutainment. The music research revolution continues. Till next time.